Another Dooley Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, and welcome into another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Coach Spurrier will be here today. Always love that. Back on schedule, kind of. You know, he had to be out playing some golf tournaments and stuff, but he'll be in here today. He's always going to be good. On Thursday, Shannon Snell's going to join us on the podcast. Always love talking to Shannon about offensive line play and all the stuff he does around the community. The pit master, as we like to call him. And then next week, Monday, will be Coach Spurrier again. The following Thursday is when Laura Rutledge will join us. She was sick this week, or she would have been happy to come on. And hopefully she's feeling better. She was on vacation, and I'm guarantee you that's maybe where she caught up. But anyway, we love Laura, and it's going to be so much fun to talk to her. So we got great shows scheduled for you. I will say this openly, we're looking for a couple of sponsors to come on board. And you don't have to come on board right now. You can come on board for football season. But if you're interested, give me a call. You know how to get a hold of me, or just email me, patrickdooley54@gmail.com. All right, that's enough plugging. Let's get to our Process Service of Gainesville Starting Five, brought to you by our good friend Scott Hart and the Process Service of Gainesville. What a great job they do, and what a great job he does. Let's start with number one. Now, this is a weird situation for him because I think softball is starting right. It's already started, I think. Yes, it has started, but I obviously don't know the result. But I'm just going to talk in general terms of what would happen in softball and baseball. For them to get to where they are, to get to the semifinals, what a job they did this year. Whatever happens, happens. I mean, I don't think they're beating Oklahoma twice, personally. And if they do, they do. And then let me tell you what. I will fly to Oklahoma. How about that? If they beat Oklahoma twice, I will fly there to watch them play Texas or Stanford, whoever it is. Just to make it, and with so many freshmen that they got playing, I give Tim Walton a lot of credit. I give the whole staff a lot of credit. I give the players a lot of credit. Now, they're going to lose really good players, but their whole pitching staff will be back. Obviously, the bottom of their lineup is going to be back. We've seen Mia Williams do great things. To me, without even knowing the results of this last game or the last two games or even further than that, this has been a very successful season for Florida softball. To win the SEC tournament the way they did, a team that was picked, I think, 8th or 7th or something like that in the preseason. Great job by Tim. Great job by the players. Great job by everybody who has anything to do with them. Thursday we'll know more, and I'll be able to tell you a little bit more about it. But just an amazing job. And to eliminate Alabama, I don't know why I don't like Alabama softball. Maybe it's because I've seen a lot of big games. To me, the Allie Gardner walk-off's one of the best moments I've ever seen in my life in sports, and that was in Oklahoma City and beat Alabama. The Grand Slam, and all the girls lost their earrings because they had to pile up. But anyway, I just wanted to say how great a job they've done. We'll talk more about it Thursday and how it finished. But no matter what the result, this has been a great job by a bunch of great kids. And I talked to Tim a lot. Tim and I are pretty good friends. I don't know about good. Would Tim come pick me up at the airport? Probably not. I was trying to think of together a list of people who would pick me up at the airport. I know you're not one of them because you live. It would be a long way. You pick me up at the Jacksonville airport, maybe more likely. But yeah, I don't know if Tim Walton would pick me up at the airport. That's the thing that I think it was Greg Larson, the late Greg Larson, told me this, and he said, there's two things that if you can tell whether somebody is really your friend. Well, they pick you up at the airport, and if they've been to your house. If they've never been to your house, they're not your good friend. Tim Walton's never been to my house. I still like him, though. Anyway, let's go to number 2 on the Process Service of Gainesville Starting Five, and that is what baseball was able to do as well. Yesterday was a weird day for me because I said, I know what's going to happen. They're going to lose. I said, let me just get out of the house. I'm not going to lay here all day and watch it. And then rain delays and everything. I ended up watching a lot of it. But, again, what they were able to do, what Neely was able to do with the 11 strikeouts, what Obviously, Shelton with a big home run that was a difference maker. We'll get to that in Campus USA plays of the weekend. And Cags with another couple of homers this weekend. They have done, again, unbelievable things. Whatever happens today happens. And we'll talk about it again on Thursday. But I just want to salute. I am saying this as a front run. Front runner is not the right word. I'm just running at their pace. It's not, well, it's not hindsight or foresight. It's just sight right now. I appreciate what both these teams have been able to do all year. And it's been a lot of fun watching. And then we're pretty much done for a while, guys, with things to watch. All right, those 1 and 2. Let's go to number 3, which is Billy Napier. With all this Rashada crap swirling around him, what did he do? Yeah, went and got a commitment from a 4-star 2026 guy, quarterback. All right. Yeah, he's obviously not worried about Napier. You guys need to get over this. Napier's going to lose his job because of the Rashada thing. You got to get over that. It's not happening. It's probably going to be settled for a very low amount of money. And that's not even the point. The point is it wasn't his fault. He's not going to get fired. If he gets fired, it's going to be because they're losing again. He's eventually going to have to win some games. I believe they're going to win games this year. And when I say win games, I mean I think they're an 8-4 type team. But he keeps doing it on the recruiting level. I can tell you that the last couple of weekends, and this weekend too, this place has been packed here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill with recruits. They bring them in. They show them a great time. They're doing all. It's like everybody's doing. I've seen videos and other things of how Florida recruits. Okay, and I see it because the players are actually posting it themselves. And I saw one of the players that was in this weekend, and I see how Florida's recruiting, and I go, man, that feels like it's a big upgrade from what they've ever done. And then I go, yeah, but you know what? Georgia's doing that. Alabama's doing that. Ohio State's doing it. You got to win some games. You win some games, you're already recruiting at a really good level based on what you've done on the field. Like if you said, hey, why don't you come play for us? We haven't had a winning season in 3 years. That's not going to get people. And they're overcoming that. Now, what they've got to do eventually, though, is win. And I think it's got to be right away. And I'm not saying he's going to get fired if they don't. But I just think they've got to win. They've got to show people this is the plan. Okay, the schedule's tough. It's tough for everybody. This is the plan. This is what our vision is. And we're finally starting to show progress. Can't take a step back like you did last year. But congratulations to Billy for getting another recruit in here. Let's get to number 4, which is something I watched a little bit of because I love gymnastics. I got to be honest with you. And I watched some of it, and that was the U.S. Championships. And Florida, 3 gymnasts who ended up being going to the Olympic qualifying. Sky Blakely, who's, of course, Sloane Blakely's sister. Sky Blakely, who took basically you don't call it a gap year. She's deferred enrollment. I don't think so. She'll still be eligible for 4 years. Yeah. So, but she did not want to compete. She wanted to compete for the Olympics, and she finished second in the behind, of course, the great Simone Biles, who won the thing for the 9th time. And look, she's the best the U.S. has. But she was second. Third, Kayla DiCello, who maybe many of you may have forgotten about, but she was unbelievable last year and took a gap year to do this. And we talked about this before the season, the gymnastics season, that Florida was going to be down a little bit because those 2 athletes, and Leanne Wong was doing some weird things. Not weird things, but she was trying to do Olympic, and it may cost them a meet here and there. I don't think it did. And she finished 8th, so she made the Olympic, not the Olympic team, but the Olympic qualifying team. I think there's 16 players, 16 athletes that go to the Olympic qualifying, and only 5 make the team. I don't know whether Trinity Thomas made that list or not. She had it wasn't an injury, but she had a bad fall and it hurt her back, I think. Well, I guess that would be an injury. But anyway, we'll keep an eye on her and what she does. But it was, again, kind of cool to watch the whole thing. The Olympic trials are next month in Minneapolis. And I know you'll be paying attention to that if you love gymnastics like I do. Let's get to number 5 on our process service of Gainesville starting 5. And that is, we now know who's in the Stanley Cup. Yay! Excited. Well, it's a team from Florida. In fact, we may get, I was thinking about getting Sarah Cardona to come on here because Sarah used to work with me at Channel 4, and now she's down in Miami, and she's covering that team. She's had, it's unbelievable what a run she's had just because, you know, you get put into situations and how you handle them just defines who you are, and Sarah's doing great work down there. And I always felt like that was me in the 06 to 08. I did a good job. I won a bunch of awards because it's always easier to cover a great team. It really is. Your access may get limited, but the stories are better. And anyway, I don't know what has it to do with hockey. I don't think anything that I can think of. But I don't know. Edmonton, of course, the Gretzky's versus and I can't name one player that ever played at Florida Panthers. No, I'm just not. I'm not a big hockey guy, but I will say this: I may watch a little bit of it, root for the state team. I may have found a way to get me interested, so I'll watch that. Look. I've said this a million times. It's a great sport to watch live. It's terrible to watch on TV, and it's kind of like lacrosse. Lacrosse, it's like somebody scores and you only know it because they raise their things up in the air and they throw them down. That is a weird lacrosse thing. How lacrosse players, when they score a goal, they'll throw their what do they call that thing? Stick.
I don't know. You got
stick. Basket. They just throw it after they score, and I'm like, if that hits somebody, are we gonna have a fight here? No. Anyway, that's your hockey final. Edmonton, Florida. By the way, it is the longest distance between two finalists in the history of the sport. Again, there hadn't been, you know. Have you ever been to Edmonton?
I can't say that I have.
No.
That was way on the west side.
I know it's not near me.
Yeah.
So that would, I always think of the beat writers, that would be brutal. Because you're in Florida, and you're going, where are we going? Edmonton. How long is that flight? Imagine Australia. Not going to be fun, but we'll see how that goes. All right, let's take a break on and again, thanks to Scott Hart and the Process Service of Gainesville for the starting 5. We'll take a break. We'll come back with the HBC Coach Steve Spurrier. We'll talk to him about a lot of things, including, you know, maybe the possibility of fining players now that they're making all this money. All that and more coming up here on another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Process Service of Gainesville offers a rapid turnaround on affidavits of service for Gator lawyers locally and nationwide. Our friend Scott Hart offers immediate responses on status requests and is a member of NAPS and FAPS. And he has been a part of the community for almost 2 decades. Need service? Call Process Service of Gainesville at 407-697-9592 or email shartgators, that's G8TR, at yahoo.com. And make sure you ask about the paralegal legal secretary bonus program.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Okay, and welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI, brought to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios here at Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We got Coach Spurrier back. He's been out doing a bunch of different things. A little golf, I know, is in your last few weeks.
Yeah, they have a tournament out at Pebble Beach called the Coaches Classic.
Yep.
They have it the same time as the SEC coaches meetings in Destin. But I used to go every other year, and then Commissioner Slive told me when I was at South Carolina, Coach, you need to come every year to the SEC coaches. But anyway, I had some teams that won it. Started in like 1992.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
I took some guys out.
I remember
there.
you had one team.
Back when I could play a little bit. Now I take some guys out, and we have a good time. But I wish we were competitive, but our game's just not good enough.
Yeah, I remember now let me ask you this. Is this myth or true story that at the SEC meetings in Destin, you called out Mike DeBose that one year and told him, hey, you guys are cheating,
No, I didn't say it like that. I said, is it legal for a coach to recommend a car dealer for a recruit to go get a car? And
He was talking generically.
And I just wanted to know, because I said if it's legal, I want to be able to do it. We got car dealers that are Gators, and they'll give a guy a good deal. And I think that's what happened at Alabama. And I think it did happen. And I threw it out in front of the athletic directors. They didn't know if it's legal or not. Well, wait a minute now. Is that legal or is it not? I just wanted to know. And they hee-hawed around, and nothing ever came of it. But, I mean, there were so many funky rules back in those days. And now everything's legal. So you can go buy him a car nowadays. You can buy him a Cadillac or whatever you want to. But back then they were ticklish little rules and this, that, and the other.
Well, remember at one point there was an NCAA rule, and this was a big deal. You could serve bagels at the pregame breakfast, but it could not have any cream cheese on it. Yeah.
Oh,
and that was a big deal. I'm like, what the hell are we doing here?
Yeah, but that was the old days and so forth. And
now it's just everybody gets whatever. And here's something I was thinking about the other day. Okay, so all these players are getting money, right? Mm-hmm. If you get a player who is getting a ton of money and he does something stupid and gets a traffic ticket or does something, why can't the coach fine the player? Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, these players that make money there's a commissioner that fines the crap out of them every chance he gets.
Well, I don't know how they do it, but some of them may pay him monthly. And this, that, and the other, because the kid could possibly quit anytime he wants to.
Right.
And so whatever he's received up that point, he keeps, but you could cut it off. But I don't know exactly how they do it. All I know is what we read in the paper about the incident with Billy Napier and
Rashad,
and our big booster and how much he was supposed to get. But whether or not that's all factual, I really don't know.
I don't think it's a big deal. I think they'll settle. They'll come to a resolution on it. But it is amazing to think about. And the funny thing is, you would think, oh, this is I heard these people saying, this is the thing that's going to get him fired. And I'm like, no, it's not. Mm-hmm. Well, not winning is going to get you fired. Mm-hmm. You got to win games. That's what it's all about. Mm-hmm. But the other thing is, he goes out and gets a commit from a 4-star quarterback for the 2000 right away. And everybody's like, hey, it's fine. He's fine. It's not like Billy's going to quit recruiting. Or I know he's had a lot of people in this building recently, for recruiting. Mm-hmm. It's no big deal to him.
Oh, right. Everybody's recruiting right now.
Yeah.
They're recruiting, and they have what they call like the NFL OTAs, off-season training assistants or something. And they're out on the field an hour or so, throwing the ball around. No contact right now. But teams are eligible to practice the whole month of June, I believe it is.
Now, when you were a coach, I mean, you had to be careful about whether the coach could be there.
Couldn't be there.
Yeah, I remember an AD walking through campus and I look up and Florida's practicing. Wayne Peace is on the turf, and I look up and there's Lee McGriff and all these Shanahan and all those guys. I go, I don't think that's legal, guys. I don't think you're allowed to do that.
Yeah, you weren't supposed to.
You could only have the strength coach out there, right?
Yeah, strength coaches ran it.
Yeah.
All the
but
strength
now you can
coaches
pretty much do whatever you
preseason.
want.
I think it is. They call it OTAs. They have a couple hours supposed to be all you're supposed to be out there, and so forth. So yeah, coaches, they don't have golf season like we had back in the summer, and they certainly didn't do 21, 22 Gator clubs like I did for 12 years. So anyway, it's a different day completely.
Yeah, I think Urban put the kibosh on that. I think he's the one
Gator clubs?
yeah.
Yeah.
He was, and Florida released it as a statement saying basically to help our coach concentrate better, we're going to cut back these clubs. But he just didn't want to do them.
No.
He wasn't.
Most
I mean,
coaches don't.
you kind of liked doing them, didn't you?
Well, we usually had a good golf course to play the afternoon, or the Gator Club put on a little tournament themselves,
Right.
and at a pretty nice place. So, yeah, we'd try to make it a fun day.
Yeah.
Certainly.
It was always good. I've been at a lot of those too. I remember the olden days. I mean, the olden days when they used to have the sports writers and all the media and all the coaches for every school would come to Daytona and have and they would be there for like 3 or 4 days, and we'd be playing poker with like Schnellenberger and all these guys. It was a different world then.
Yeah, really different. But the people are still coming to the ballpark.
That's right.
And the crowds and the expectations, and so it'll be an interesting year this year. But they've changed everybody's schedule so much. I really feel for South Carolina. The biggest games we had up there in conference were Florida, Georgia, and Tennessee. They do not play any of those three schools.
That's right.
They've swapped them for Texas A&M, and
They basically,
Texas.
it's almost like they
Almost,
went, we're
yeah.
swapping the East and the West.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Because Florida doesn't
Really
play a
doesn't.
lot of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, but I don't know. It's a dynamic I think we'll all have to get used to. And not only that, in all sports, because you're looking at right now, we were talking a little bit earlier about softball and how great they've been able to do. But the two best teams are Texas and Oklahoma, and they're coming to this league the next year. They're not going to get worse. And that's going to be tough for, I think, for Florida and for everybody, for Alabama, for Arkansas, all these teams that are good in softball. It's going to be rough.
Yeah, what most schools have done in the past, we've got 8 conference games, and then you have 4 choice games. Okay, so we always play FSU. All right, the other SEC schools, South Carolina always plays Clemson, but the rest of them, they can go pick out 4 schools that hopefully they can beat. Not a Power 5 school, and so you got 3 out of 4 of those. And that'll give you 4 wins. And if you can just go 4-4 in conference, you're 8-4. But we're playing UCF, Miami, and FSU, 3 teams that can beat us.
Hey,
And,
don't forget Samford. Samford had
Samford
had the lead on them last time they played.
So our schedule is a little tougher, and in the long run, we'll find out if we can have a winning season and win a bowl game. That's what I'm predicting right there.
Yeah, and I think the back end is where they really get hurt. If they can get through those first 6 games 5-1, and pull off a couple more. But again, Miami's favored right now by 2.5.
Probably.
I bet Tennessee might be favored. We'll see how that goes. I mean, they got A&M, and I don't know what to expect there from Mike Elko, but it is kind of a lot of change in the SEC, and certainly, but I wrote this story the other day, and I got it from Billy Napier. He basically gave me, and he was pointing out, if you look line by line, Florida's schedule is actually easier than it was last year. Because who would you rather play? Would you rather go to Utah or play Miami at home? I mean,
Utah was a pretty tough team.
Yeah, exactly. I would rather play Miami at home.
Certainly.
That makes it easier. So you can go right down the list, but of course you get toward the back end. There's a lot of tough games there. I know you've been watching a lot of baseball and softball this weekend. It's been a lot of fun to watch them. And, of course, we're doing this show on Monday. Softball's getting ready to play in a few minutes, so we can't really talk about what happens in those games because we don't know what's going to happen. But it's it's kind of a weird day when you see the Gators in baseball and softball win 3 games in the same day. Baseball won 2, softball won 1. They were great wins, and to knock out Alabama, especially out of the tournament, was good for softball.
Yeah, today's big day. Softball is going to be tough to try to beat Oklahoma a couple times, but hey, anything's possible. Baseball, we just need to win 1, correct?
Right, correct.
So hopefully that'll work out.
Yeah, and but it's been a lot of fun to watch these games, and I don't know how much you sit there. I got kind of caught up in that where you're sitting there and you're watching all the games because Florida's in the tournament. And you're watching all these games that you really don't care about, but you're watching them because you're just curious about things. And then I went, I'm just going to go play golf. Let's just go out to the golf course and get some sunshine and do that. But it's certainly an interesting time of the year because after Florida loses in these 2 sports, I think we're done with sports for the year.
Pretty much track,
outdoor track would be the one thing. But that is kind of depressing at the same time. You know, you need a break from caring about things so much.
A little break.
But certainly for Florida, when all the attention is going to go to football and all the fan. And again, I do think there's a lot of positive people behind this program right now. There's certainly some negative. Sometimes they're the lunatic fringe, I call them. But there is a lot of positive energy behind the program.
Oh yeah, there's no question about it. Speaking of sports right now, the WNBA, the women's basketball, of course, Caitlin Clark, they giving her shoves and pushes.
Yeah.
And,
what do you think about that?
They're
beating her up
what
pretty
was
good.
bad is when Angel Reese gave the other girl a hug that sort of knocked her down, and that doesn't need to happen. Angel Reese sort of, I don't know, she has a little different attitude. But in the long run, Iowa just finished their regular season, long season, went to the final game, went all the way to South Carolina, beat them in the finals, and then Caitlin goes straight into pro basketball. I just think at times we all need a rest.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
So she's sort of in a little bit of a shooting slump probably right now, but she needs a break. And as much as she's done for the women's pro basketball, they ought to be thankful, all those other players, that she is in the league. They ought to treat her with kindness. Hang in there, Caitlin. You're going to be fine instead of knocking her down.
Yeah, why do you think these games are on TV? You know, I mean, it's Caitlin Clark. She is okay. I get that you're trying to say, oh, you're not. You know, we're the stars here, and that's okay to play a little tough, but it's just flagrant what's going on. But okay, it is what it is, and she's gonna have to deal with that, I'm sure, her whole career, at least for a while. But I mean, if she right now said, "Hey, you guys, that's too much. I'm out."
No,
you know what they would go? They would say, "No, come back. We won't do that anymore. We want to keep."
Well, it's human nature that when one person makes a lot more money than everybody else, you're a little envious of them and so forth. But in the long run, what she has helped make for the entire league and all the other players is significant. So they should be kind to her a little bit, I think. But again, you're trying to win the game and play tough, but not obvious hits and so forth.
You speaking of money, making money, Justin Jefferson signed a deal today, highest paid non-quarterback ever in the history of the game. Now, again, you got to pay what the market is. I understand that, and there are wide receivers that are better than him, but he's really good. But the finances of that. I mean, what did you sign for with the 49ers? Yeah,
$25,000 was my signing bonus. They made 25 first year.
25
first year.
So it was 25 bonus and 25 salary.
Yeah, first year.
What'd you make your
last year? I made 125.
With the Bucks?
With the Bucks, and last 3 years with the Niners and them.
You thought you were just.
I had.
You were like Scrooge McDuck. You were throwing money up in the air.
I had about 15 or 20,000 in the bank when I went into coaching.
Really?
And fortunately got hired. So I am extremely thankful and blessed that I kept getting opportunities, because that's what you got to have in life to be successful in whatever you do. And Coach Dickey gave me the first one. We all got fired. Pepper Rogers. We all got fired, and I'd met the Duke coach, and he gave me an opportunity to be offensive coordinator. That was 1980. 80. That was 80.
Yeah.
And then I got a chance to be the head coach at the Bandits. And in fact, I'm going in the Tampa Sports Hall of Fame.
Is that right?
This Wednesday night in Tampa.
Is that
so,
right?
So I'm
Good for
going
you.
in with
So how many is that like?
Bruce Arians.
Are you trying to get in every Hall of Fame that I'm not in? Is that the goal?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Bruce Arians is going in. And
Well, he certainly deserves it too.
yeah, Thaddeus Bullard, who is the pro
Titus,
wrestler
yep.
Titus, he's going in. A couple of area high school coaches also are going in. And the lady sports announcer that went to Florida, Fox, what's her name?
Gales.
No, not her. Went to Florida here. Erin Andrews.
Erin Andrews, okay.
Erin Andrews. Erin's going in. She can't be there, though. But anyway, Erin was a writer with the Alligator when I was coaching here in the 90s.
She was.
So,
She was.
She's made it pretty big as a sportscaster in the NFL and so forth.
Yeah, I don't know who's made. I did a thing a while back about who's made it bigger, and like I had Collinsworth near the top of that list, and I had Aaron Andrews, but I also had Jesse Palmer,
Oh,
who's
Jesse's
become
done
a star.
extremely well.
Yeah.
Television, sports, and so forth. Yeah. Now we got Batesy. Batesy.
Batesey's-
He's with the ACC, so
Yeah.
we don't see him as much, but he's
Yeah, and he moved
doing-
out of town. He moved up to Fernandina, so that's a shame. We'll see him, but we'll see him around.
Yeah,
every
he'll
once
come
in
back.
A while.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Doring's doing great stuff. So,
Yep.
did you guys give these guys tips on how to be an announcer, or is it they
No,
just come
they-
naturally? It was because of our
They may
great
have studied.
interviewing.
Our journalism school here and broadcasting
Oh, yeah.
school is best in the country, probably. So you give those guys credit over there. They learned their trade and they're doing an excellent job.
Yep, they do a great job.
Yep.
It is time for our Campus USA plays, in this case, double plays of the week. And this is what got us to Monday. And both of these plays were huge. And that the first one coming here in softball, Jocelyn Erickson with that big 3-run center field, too. And I've been to that park. It's pretty deep out there to hit that 3-run homer. And that pretty much knocked Alabama out of
that was the winning
Yep.
winning blows right there.
That was it.
3 runs came in, and
That was pretty cool, because then you felt like they were in good shape. And then do we have the other one up here next? This is baseball, and this is Shelton, another lefty. Boom! That ball is deep, and that's what got Florida advanced them for another day. They were down 2-1 in that game to Oklahoma State. That was the biggest hit of that game. So we appreciate what they were able to do, and they are our Campus USA plays of the weekend. I know Coach is a sponsor of Campus USA, so he appreciates all these great plays by Gator players. All right, Coach. Anything else for you?
No.
Oh, we get the bourbon tasting. Do we want to talk
oh,
about
that's
that?
right.
Yeah.
We've got an event here, June 14th,
Yep.
Thursday night. If you're a bourbon drinker, personally, I'm not much of a
I
bourbon
used to be,
drinker.
not so much anymore, but I
But,
like a
yeah,
little
lot of
sip
people
here
like
every
bourbon.
once in a while.
Sipping
Yeah.
bourbon or whatever. But we got it here at Visors, I think at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, something like that, this Thursday, June the 14th. I've signed all 100 bottles. You watched me today,
I
didn't
did,
you?
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were
So-
going to go Jerry Seinfeld and get a cramp in your hand or something.
No, I'm pretty fast and quick with the autographs. But anyway, that should be a fun event. So June 14th, Thursday night, if you're not doing anything, come on by Visors up there, and we'll have a big time.
Sounds great. All right, we'll let you go, Coach. We'll be back with more of another Dooley Noted podcast. Robbie Andrew will join us for Yes, No, Where, or Maybe. When we come back, brought to you by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios, who are also the sponsors of Coach Spurrier's appearance, and we appreciate them for that. Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. You know about the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in and on Fridays and get Nana's catfish nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Rib Co., a Gainesville great.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Tebow Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coaches Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. Okay, and welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. It's great to be kind of back on schedule, to have Coach Spurrier coming in here and then Robbie Andrew right behind him. Always great to talk to Robbie. How was your weekend? Good weekend?
Good, Pat. Yeah, I enjoyed watching softball and baseball yesterday. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was weird because I was like, I told my wife, I said, I don't want to watch these games. I said, I don't like what's going to happen, and I just don't. And then I went and played golf, and I came back, and the games hadn't started yet because rain delays and everything. Yeah. So I did sit there and watch them all, but it was certainly a good day for the Gators. But
yeah, I'll tell you, Pat,
right.
Neely is one hell of a fierce competitor. I mean, that came through last night so loud and clear that he's a hard guy to beat when he's pitching like that. Yeah, and I think, and I talked about this earlier. Cardozo and I were talking this morning, and he said the bottom line is these guys haven't seen athletic pitchers before. You know, they guys who can throw hard and guys who can throw hard, spin it, do all these other things are two different stories. All right, Robbie is coming to you as he always does on the Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line, and it's time for Yes, No Way, or Maybe, brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak. Street dining done the right way. Great people over there. Love talking to Keith Miller, and had a great time with him at the golf tournament. Robbie, all right, the early Vegas odds are out. Florida, over-under is 5.5. You're taking the over. Yes, no way, or maybe? Yes, I'm taking the over. I think they're going to be a lot better than people think, Pat. You and I have talked about how much he's improved the roster and 7 home games. And I think that, this is going to be like a year 2 for normal coaches. Year 2 was like year 1 for him last year in a lot of ways. And now I think he's got everything in place. The roster's good. 7 home games. So I think they're going to win much more than 5.5 games.
Yeah, I think what you said, too, is a good point. That, we talked about this before, how, look, he made a choice on his first year, and I'm not saying he blew it on it, but it didn't translate well into what they wanted to do. So his first year was kind of a wash. So now, like you said, he's in his second year. Second years tend to be really good for Florida coaches around here.
They have, and over time, it's proven to be true, Pat, that year 2. So this is going to be like his year 2 to me, and I think there's going to be a big bump.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, obviously, we can't wait for the season to start in a mere 900 days.
But, when he first got here, Pat, I don't think we all realized how bad the roster really was in so many ways. So he wasn't left with a whole lot from Mullen. I mean, that was the big problem.
No, there was a reason why that team went 6-7. I mean, that last team, and most of the guys left that were we thought were talented, but actually weren't. All right, let's get to number 2 on Yes, No, Where, or Maybe with Robbie Andrew. You are worried about the Vikings getting in trouble for meddling.
Maybe, Pat. What are they meddling on?
They meddled on Saquon Barkley, I think it was. Did they get Saquon Barkley? I didn't even know they got him.
I don't think we got him, did we?
Eagles got Barkley.
Oh, the Eagles did. Okay. So you're not worried about the Vikings medaling.
No way on that.
That's a dumb
No.
question. All right, let me ask you
It
this
was a
question.
dumb question.
Well, let
I
me.
reject that.
I went back to another. I had another question. I don't know why I wrote this one down. You're excited about the Twins and Yankees playing over the next few days.
A big maybe on that, Pat. I mean, our history of the Yankees is pathetic. So, it looks like a little losing streak is on the way for the Twins, unfortunately.
Come on, Robbie. I'm
They
behind you
can't-
on
they-
this.
Well, for one thing, they can't beat the Yankees ever. Now they're playing in New York, and New York is playing really well. So,
No,
losing streak.
I got the Yankees. I got the Yankees losing 2 of 3. Okay.
no.
All right. Finally, on.
One win, but I don't see that happening.
All right, you've got to answer 4 questions. One of them was a stupid question. So the
Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley. Yeah. Why did I think he was going to the Vikings?
The Eagles are meddling, so I'm not worried about that.
This is the problem I have to deal with everything now. Who is in the Big Ten now? Who is there a Pac-12? Because they were all talking about how the Pac-12's final game in softball was the other night or something, and I was like, well, I thought they were going to play with like the Mountain West and make a conference.
Yeah, I
out
thought
of it.
they had something going. I thought they were going to keep going.
I don't know what's going on anymore. Finally, on Yes, Nowhere, Maybe, Robbie, you're okay with Justin Jefferson becoming the richest player in the history of the NFL other than a quarterback?
I'm going to say yes on that, Pat. I mean, he's obviously a great player, and they needed to keep him, and it's not my money, so I'm not worried about it.
By the way, I do remember why I had the Vikings written down, because Cousins to Atlanta is where the meddling is going on. And
Who meddled there?
I don't know. Well, when the Vikings couldn't have meddled, they lost them.
It's really the Falcons.
I know.
Falcons, yeah. The Falcons may be in a little bit of trouble here. They may
They can
lose
have
a
'em.
draft pick.
Yeah. Ooh.
Ooh, a 4th rounder. What are you going to do? I don't know. Just call
Well-
Kevin Costner and get him to trade your 4th for 2 3s. All right, Robbie, that'll do it for Yes, Nowhere, Maybe. Appreciate you being on board.
Okay, Pat. Yeah, always my pleasure. I'll see you soon.
Brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteaks. Okay, always great to have Robbie on the show. And, of course, thanks to Coach Spurrier for being on. Let's get to our fun stuff. Adams Rib Co. Gator of the Week. I had a lot of choices here. Or late Gator of the Weekend, I should say. I had a lot of choices here. I decided to go with Brandon Neely. And Brandon Neely has frustrated me over his career at Florida. He wasn't frustrating on Sunday night. Striking at 11, a career high. Coming out of the bullpen, throwing 5 2/3, I think it was. Just a tremendous. That was a clutch performance by a guy who has been good at times, and every once in a while he can frustrate you, but he is a good pitcher. He was getting touching 96, and this was great. And so he is our Adams Ribco to go Gator of the Weekend, and congratulations, Brandon. Appreciate him for that, keeping that season going forward. Let's go to our Leonardos at Millhopper Quick Picks. Kyle Cohen and the great players over there. Players? I feel like I'm all of a sudden become Kathy LeGifford. Players? I would have a glass of wine, though, if it was her. All right, our Leonardos at Millhopper Quick Picks, and this is a very simple one. And look, you've got until tomorrow at 6 o'clock, okay? Tuesday at 6 o'clock. You got to give me an answer. Who wins the College World Series? Women's College World Series. Not the men's, the women's. So by then you'll know who's in the final, okay? Because they play 2 and 2 today if they have to play 2 and 2. So you'll know who's in the final Tuesday. If you haven't listened to the show by 6, can't help you. You're not going to be able to get in. But that is our Leonardo's and Millhopper Quick Picks. I'm trying to make it interesting and yet easy. It's hard because I know some of you guys get mad. So who will win the Women's College World Series? Now, again, I would wait till tomorrow because then you could go, well, I know who's in it now. Tonight we should know. Although you never know. There's been a lot of rain. Although I think that rain is going through. So Just looking at the map, the weather map, being an amateur meteorologist that I am. All right, let's get to our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Saw Ken in the gym yesterday. Great guy. Appreciate him so much. Hesser and Kipke, of course, is a Gainesville law firm specializing in the areas of family law and workers' compensation. If you're a loyal listener of the show, you know who we are by now. If not, Google the firm, check out the reviews, and hear what our clients have to say. Ken and Jennifer can be reached 24/7 via call or text at 352-339-9920, 352-339-9920. Hesser and Kipke. Let's get to the Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Number 1, Robert McIntyre won the PGA Tour event, the Canadian Open, and with his dad on the bag, and everybody was like losing their mind. I was like, yeah, this is not the first time it's ever happened in my. I remember following Matt Kuchar with his dad on his back. Okay, it's really a cool thing, but you guys are acting like nobody's ever done this. I mean, guys have their wives on their bags and sons on their bags all the time. It's not that big a deal. Okay, it's cool. It's a big deal for that family, and it's a big deal for him because he's a guy that I think a lot of people believe is going to be one of the next great golfers, and they were waiting for his breakthrough, and this may have been it. I'm all in favor of that, but don't act like he's the first dad to ever carry a bag. For some reason that bothered me. Oh, I know why it bothered me, because my wife was watching like Good Morning America this morning, and they were like, this is unprecedented. A man carrying a golf bag over his shoulder. Oh, the humanity. It was too much, as it always is. Let's get to number 2. Number 2 on the Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Brandon McManus is looking for a new job. Of course, he was released by the Commanders after being released by the Jaguars, but while he was in Jacksonville, he was, I got to be careful how I say this, he is charged with sexual assault. And it's basically they were on the plane going over to London, and it turned into a huge party, and again, this is all alleged. He was trying to pay women with $100 bills to strip and take off their clothes and do all this, was grinding against them. They filed a lawsuit. I wasn't there. I can't tell you anything. But anyway, he's looking for a job. That's all I'm going to say. All I'm going to say, I don't think there's going to be a Magic Mike 3 either, so I don't know what he's going to do for a job. So anyway, that's number 2. And number 3, the bad news story of the day. These weren't the bad news stories. This is even worse. Poor Birmingham Southern. There were groans all across press boxes all over America because everybody was following this story. Birmingham Southern, as a school, after over 100 years, I think it's 160, closed its doors Friday. They're done. Done. I remember there was a kid that played at St. John's who was from Birmingham Southern. That's the only connection I had. I couldn't tell you, I know it's in Birmingham, but I couldn't tell you what part of Birmingham it's in. But anyway, they closed their doors, but their team was still playing baseball. And then they kept winning, and they kept winning, and they kept winning, and it all of a sudden became the story of the College World, or not, of the playoffs, of the regionals. Now, again, we're talking Division III, not Division I, but it was such a cool story, and everybody was excited about it. And they had a walk-off to win one game, but unfortunately, they had a walk-off to beat them. Wisconsin Whitewater. Damn, Wisconsin Whitewater. Beat Birmingham Southern. Ended their seasons, ended their careers, ended the school, ended everything. That is an ultimate walk-off. And you go, that ball's out of here, and you don't have class tomorrow because there is no school anymore. That is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Let us finish up as we always do on Mondays with the Swamp Games of the Week. And, of course, Tuesday there is baseball on TBS, Twins-Yankees. I was talking to Robbie about that earlier. 7:05 is the start there. Wednesday, Padres at the LA Angels, if you want to watch that game. That is a 9:30 game on FS1. Now, I can't tell you what time the baseball is going to be and the softball because we got to see what happens. I mean, I know the softball is going to be. I think it's Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. but and all the games are at 8 o'clock. Baseball, we have no idea what's going on there. You're going to be flooded with baseball again this week, but they should probably start earlier. But anyway, but we do know that softball will be at 8 o'clock. I'm sorry, Wednesday, Thursday, and then maybe Friday. I did write that down, actually. So Tuesday will be an off day. Yeah, and it's all on ESPN. Also, the NBA, I know that I had to look it up to find out if the NBA was still playing. I forgot they were still playing. In fact, I can't tell you when the NHL game is because it's not till the weekend, so I got to wait for the weekend for that. It's Saturday. But the NBA playing on Thursday, 8:30 on ABC, Dallas, Boston. Yeah, I don't know. I'd rather watch a softball game than that. But I'm gonna watch it. I still haven't figured out who I'm rooting for. I'm going back and forth. There's a smell of somebody burning off something off of a grease fire or something in the air, and it's making me sick. But no, I'm just kidding. It's just maintenance here. But I do appreciate Zach for doing an unbelievable job as he always does. Putting up with me is not easy, and you guys all know that. We'll be back with another show on Thursday. Again, Shannon Snell, the great Shannon Snell, All-American, is going to join us here on another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Until next time, I am Pat Dooley. I am deep, I am way back, and I am out of here.